Can you see me okay? Well, I do have your questions written down. That's why I kind of wanted to not use my phone because then I can kind of glance at them. I feel like they're super good questions. So I don't know. We can dive in and just see where it goes. I love Airbnb, and even though I don't have one currently, I've also started talking to some people here, and I don't know, there's some things in the work for some hopefully groups coming in and starting one, which out here with how expensive things are honestly the reality that it's probably gonna have to be. Go in with some people, have very clear partners and roles and percentages that each owns, and then hopefully in time that money can then roll over into another project for me later. But so you guys are already up and running, and you're just now doing your mailers, though.
I still have the little caveat in the description, which surprisingly, I guess some people read the descriptions.
Yeah.
But those little, this is a 30-day or more rental. But actually, someone told me the other day too. I may have to pivot. I don't know. We'll see. But the city of Springfield just passed a new rule on Airbnbs that if it's 32 days or less. You have to, which they haven't told me yet because I'm not approved, obviously. This one of my other friends that's an investor doesn't know the full gist of it. But basically, you'll have to print a statement at the end of every month. And every person that stayed less than 32 days, you have to pay 5% of your profit to the city.
Wow. So as I was leaving, that started to come about. And I've only been here a month. But some of the guys at work were like, is that why you're closing down? I was like, no. Like, I didn't know all that was in the works there, but I had heard, and I was like, no, like, if I was to stay, I'd obviously, like, figure things out, I guess, and have to do that. I feel like that's how where I'm living is, because they're very strict on how many nights you can have someone. Oh, you can't do a week, or oh, you have to do 2 weeks. It's very weird here, and so I'm still trying to figure it out, but it doesn't sound horrible, but it also sounds like, is it just Airbnb or is it also for VRBO, Furnish Finder? Like, is it for everything short term?
I didn't get all of it. I'm sure if I get it, I'll have all that information. But yeah, it kind of sounds like it's just 32 days and less. So I would assume VRBO.
Yeah, because you do, if you allow people, you do get the short term rentals, you get the 2-dayers. And that would stink when it's just like 5% doesn't sound like a lot, and it's not. But for those short bookings, when you're paying a cleaning staff, if you are, that sucks up the money from that 1 night or 2 nights, and then the 5% too. Dang. Well, good luck navigating that.
So we're lucky too. There's a girl that watches our youngest son. She's a nanny for us. She watches our youngest son. She does my bookwork for the painting business, and I'm also training her to be basically my property manager for all my investor stuff. So I give her 10%, right? Of it.
Yeah. So that was one of your questions: is cleaning staff? Do you do it yourself, or even kind of the bookkeeping? I feel like functioning small in still the beginning of it, doing everything I could myself. I did clean the first year, but then I started paying people the second year because it started to become to where it wasn't a passive income anymore. It was like I was still getting stuff done and having to be there, and I didn't want that. The third year is when I was getting away with paying people $20 an hour, as many people as I could find, because $20 an hour was still more than I was making at the fire department. And so I was just like, I think it's still good money, but the going rate in town seemed to be $75 for flipping a house. Some places $100, like cleaning companies, Mary Maids or whatever's in town. So toward the end, I started paying $75, kind of got together a cleaning crew, and where it got dicey is if you had like a month stay that was going to take a whole lot longer than a typical, 2 to 3 hour flip. So that 75 for, 3 hours was no longer enticing because it might take them 5 hours to flip it, if you had a longer guest. So with that, it was just kind of like, okay, well, now we're going per hour. Well, don't sandbag the hour, like still do a good job. And so it got a little convoluted sometimes, but if you have people you trust, like your girl, That is key. And I love that you're doing a property manager, because I know some who are still back home with an Airbnb doing it themselves, and that's fine. But if you do want to add more rentals, you have to be okay paying people. And I had my buddy Mike become my property manager, and I was looking into my friend, and I've got her contact I will send you in case you do keep growing. And her husband, what they ended up doing is starting a website of their own, where now they post like Airbnb links on there, and she only charges 10% also. And I'm like, Angela, you could be charging 18%, like some property managed companies do. And so, but she's just like, I know I could, but 10% is still affordable for people, and they pull out all the works if they want additional services. Like they've got some vehicles that some of your guests may not have a vehicle, and so she's got some partnerships with like Turo and people who do that. And then she'll offer grocery shopping, even though you can do Walmart delivery, but they'll kind of stock the house ahead of time if you want. But she's only charging 10%, so what you're paying your girl is a great going rate. When my house was the regular rental, that's what I paid as well. Like I did 10% to a company in town, and I mean, I think that's great. It gets it hands off for you.
Distributing and delegating is helpful, because I went the first probably 4 months just by myself. So I was doing it by myself, going to estimates, doing all this stuff, and I found out real quick that if I leave a job to go do an estimate, that's hours that nothing's getting done on this job. So that's prolonging that job. So I was like, nah, I can't do this.
Yeah.
We're both real estate agents, so we're at the same brokerage. And I hired her, and she trained her, and she's been a quick learner. So I always kind of have progress moving.
Good.
And when I'm gone, and then I just hired another girl. She actually reached out to me. So I discovered very quickly I would rather pay someone to do stuff and keep progress going, especially in painting. The way you make money in painting is get stuff done as fast as possible and move on to the next one. Yeah, no, that's huge. No, I love that you're okay doing that, because that honestly, I think some people are confused. Why were you not mowing your own yard? Why were you not cleaning your own house? Well, I did that the whole first year, and I was busy on my off days, and that's not what I wanted. So it was okay for me to find a mower and have someone regularly mow the place. It was okay for me to pay someone else to do the cleaning. You're giving a little money away, but you're gaining so much time in the long run. But Angela's service, like they'll offer the tree trimming, the shrub trimming, and they'll even do the occasional maintenance. A mowing guy doesn't always, usually they just mow, edge, and blow. And then she'll be like, hey, we can do weeds or pick up sticks or trim limbs. And so she's fine coming quarterly, So if you need like someone else to do those random things, maintenance guys are also another thing. Have some maintenance guys handy, So that was one question I think that would for sure help other people, because I am recording this to see if it works. But some people aren't okay giving away money. But yes, you're not. And so many successful people out there know how to delegate. And you can only reach that certain spot if you're okay, like passing the baton to someone else. And especially when it comes to bookkeeping or numbers, I mean, that girl probably does like a really good job, and maybe, I don't know, better than you would do. I don't know. So I use QuickBooks. I don't know what program you use for your paint business. Do you use that or a different one? I use an app called Market for the painting business. Cool. And then I haven't shifted to anything with the Airbnb business yet. Just because it's still so small in one property right now. And but as I grow more, I'll probably afford that with QuickBooks or something like that. I was just doing everything solo the beginning, but where I started having maintenance people come, and then my tax lady was asking me specific questions, and she'd start to give me a spreadsheet, and this is just a print off of like one-ish that we use, but it basically had categories, and she's like, hey, what did you spend on, lawn care? What did you spend on like services for people, like bug guy, whatever, and so having something that tracks that, I'm not saying QuickBooks necessarily breaks all that. I actually don't have the subscription anymore, but like Dave Ramsey had an Every Dollar app,
where you can almost take out home, household items, electrical, utilities. I like that for tracking purposes a lot. But with QuickBooks, what I noticed is I could not have it linked with my own account. I had to have it just the business account because it got so messy when I sometimes decided to randomly use my card for something, and it was just like, hold up, it's saying, you have this much, but you really do have this much. And so I had to take all my personal accounts off there. I thought I could manage it with like tracking my business and personal. I couldn't. So thankfully, Airbnb tracks all that. They track how much you made. They print out a really good tax thing at the end of the year. You also asked Furnish Finder, like how much success did I have with that? I had a lot of success. Like, I don't know if certain nurses are still traveling, but when I left, they were still traveling. And they would grab 3 months, 4 months. I had a 6-month person through Furnish Finder. Huge success. It's only $75 to have, I guess, a subscription with them. You get nurses all the time looking and inquiring about places. You can also see other places around the area, kind of like you can Airbnb. But oftentimes I'd get more bookings through them than I would Airbnb. So Airbnb would have a really jacked up rate, whereas Furnish Finder, it's like, here's my monthly rate, So kind of figure out what that monthly rate is if you were to ever post on there. And, I had a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and there was times where you could just tell there was a lot more people looking for a place. So I was able to put like 2,100 for like a little 2-bedroom, 864 square foot house, like small. But then there was also times where I was like, okay, I can feel like there's a little dryness going on, and I lowered my rent down to 1,800 because I needed someone in there, because on Airbnb's website there was no projected bookings, and I'm like, I need to get someone in here. And 1,800 still would have been profit to me because my mortgage was only 507. I usually factored like 300 a month for cleaning staff, because if you get a whole bunch of little quick flips, so either way, 1,800, I'd still come out ahead. But Airbnbs, you get way more per night than you would Furnish Finder. So if you really took my 2,100 divided by the 30 days, that's cheaper than like a shanty hotel. Way cheaper of what they're getting. So I try not to do that because Airbnb per night is a lot. But then even if they book, usually there's like a 30% discount thing that's thrown on there for thanks for long-term booking, And so you may get 100 a night or 15 a night for the week people, but you're not necessarily going to get that for the month long. But yeah, I definitely do advise people do Furnish Finder. Once Furnish Finder like truly got in full swing, it handles itself. And so I'd look into it if I were you guys, especially if you are experiencing dry spells, especially also with that whole, it has to be 30 days or whatever, because you will get someone guaranteed a month or longer. So
I'm on Furnish Finder.
Okay.
But I've had literally zero people have reached out. And I do know, like the girl I mentioned earlier, Riley, her sister is a family nurse, and she has said it slowed down.
Okay.
And I think my price probably dissuades you, because mine's 2-bed, 1-bath, 1,200 square feet.
Okay. Okay.
So it's a good size 2-bedroom. But I think my price might be dissuading people. But also, like, because of the time I bought this house, interest rates were high. So like my mortgage is $1,295 a month.
Okay. Yeah.
So right, 1,800. That is not a whole lot of. I could almost rent it for. I could probably rent it, like just put someone in there on a year lease for 1,500. Or I think I have it set at 2,400 right now.
Yeah.
Luckily, Airbnb hasn't been too dry. If it is dry, I definitely would drop it just to have someone in there, if I need it. But I was just curious about that because I had zero
It could be the price point, but I also understand what you're saying about your mortgage being higher, because with the house that I was flipping before I moved here, my mortgage was $820, and I was adding all the numbers ahead of time. Okay, let's take out 75 for a maintenance guy per month, or 65, just because their service rates alone are kind of pricey. Let's take out the 300 for cleaning. Let's take out this, and it was to where I had to, even with utilities and all that, because you pay for their utilities, you pay for their internet. I was at like 1,300, but it kind of was looking to where I was literally going to be breaking even at that place, to where I might as well have just thrown a renter in there, because it's less moving parts, it's hands off. But yes, this other house I had owned since 2015, so the mortgage was way low. But yeah, that other one, it was to where it was just like, I probably should just regular rent it, because I wouldn't have to pay their yard work. I wouldn't have to pay for the cleaning people, all that stuff. And so sometimes you have to reassess, and you're like, is this worth it? But yeah, your price point, that could be warding them off a little bit. The person you get is probably not a traveling nurse. You probably get like a family. And I got these a couple times who they're like, hey, we're building, we need a place to stay for a couple months, especially your house is a little larger, and well, I guess size wise, yeah, it is a little larger square footage. If you're willing to drop it, drop it a little, but you're right. At the end of the day, you also could throw a renter in there if you wanted, but I don't know, drop it to $2,000,
Yeah, I thought about,
because Missouri, at least $2,000 is not what someone would rent a house for. Out here, it's like, here I am paying that for a 2-bedroom apartment. But yeah, out there, $2,000 is still awesome for if you were to make that, So yeah, it's not $2,400, but someone's still not going to rent it for that.
Yeah, no, not a 2-bedroom. You might could squeeze a 3-bedroom into that price range, depending on how updated it is, but not a 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it definitely would be something I would be going to drop it to 2,000. The guy that's in there right now, he booked from Airbnb. He's on a business, so he's there till July 3rd. But after he first paid and said, hey, my company didn't really like the price point, he just booked it at the per day. So he booked it at $125 a day, and then I think he gave a 20% discount for the long-term booking.
Yep.
And ended up coming at just over 3,000. And he said, but if you would be willing to drop to 2,500, I think I could convince them to let me stay, and I would be here through November 5th.
Yeah.
And I was done.
And that's when you say, heck yeah, like, because you're still making money.
I haven't heard back from him yet, so I don't know if he didn't get that approved, or maybe maybe he just didn't like the location of the house. Who knows?
Gotcha. But he's still in there right now.
Until July 3rd. Yeah.
And you want your place rented, and if, I don't know, if you've had no inquiries for, later in July, and he's already in there and it is easy, I don't know, come at him with, he said the 2,500, but come at him with a 23 if that's still a profit. I don't know, I don't want to offend you, but there were, when I first started, I had like a 2-week person who was here, and they got a very cheap rate just because I wanted to get someone in. They were probably paying like $40 a night. And even though my nightly rental was at the time $99, I eventually got it to $115 where people were paying that. $99 just looks better than $100. But they were like a missionary, and someone knew them and referred them to me. So I kicked them a good discount, got someone in there. I think that first month of ever being open, I made like $700. So, but after that, it took off to where like nothing was coming out of my pocket. But there was definitely like my first long-term booking ever. I didn't really know like how to price it. People asked for discounts, and so my first one was like $1,300. And then I like crept it up, and I was like, I'm going to try $1,400 on the next one. Now I'm going to try $1,500. And slowly it was just like, how much can I get? Not in a, I'm going to squeeze this out of them, but like, what is the one where people are just going to go radio silent on you and just ignore you and not talk to you? Because that happened too. I remember whenever I jumped from like $1,400 to $1,700, and I didn't have anyone responding to me. And I was like, is that too much? So now it's like whenever I was able to make the 21 and I had to drop it down to the 18 at one point, I was like, it's okay, because if you're willing to go down a little bit just to make sure your place is rented, I think that's huge too, because you definitely don't want it to set vacant for in the beginning, especially when you just have one, you know. You never want it to set vacant. Eventually, though, if you have other ones, they can kind of pay for that when it's, you know, vacant. But heck, if 23 is still good, maybe offer him that, you know. If he's willing to get you another month, you can get, I don't know, you don't have to throw a cleaning person in there. So that's, you're not having to lose money there because you don't have to clean it, which is nice. But yeah, I have had success on Furnish Finder. So if you're not, I would say it's maybe the price point, but it is, you kind of have to like adjust it. And I'd look at other ones that were priced like mine, and maybe they'd have a few more amenities, but I knew that mine had a yard and theirs didn't have a yard or whatever. I don't know, definitely be okay adjusting your price sometimes just to get someone in there, you know?
Yes, our investing strategy is more of like a long-term, you know, 15, 20 years, whatever. How many properties can we have to where I just wake up thinking nothing or do whatever I like? I'm not necessarily concerned about if I'm making, you know, $1,000 profit off this. Like this is just, you know, it's a stepping stone to build as I go to me and my wife's job is paying the bills just fine.
Then that's good. Then so long as your mortgage is paid, you know, like so long as that's paid, that's honestly how you should look at it, because it, to me, it's just like if you break even on anything and nothing's coming out of your own pocket, but someone else is paying for all those bills, they're paying for your house. Like they're paying for that. So, I believe it is like, it is a long-term goal. Like you're not going to reap the benefits right now, even if you were profiting 1,000 a month or 800 a month. It's just like you're still taking that and maybe rolling it into another property. So you're truly not waking up just yet to like have that. But when those are paid off, man, those are going to be a good profit. But that is longer down the road for sure. And that's what, as this one was slowly getting paid off by someone else, it was just like, even if I broke even, I'm okay with that. I was like, even if I just rent, I had to make $850 a month. Like, even if I just make that. Now the other property was like $1,300, and it was just more of a risk. But even if I just make that, who cares? Like, because again, I have a job, I got benefits. Like, I don't need that. Whereas some people wouldn't look at it like that. So that's a good mindset you guys have.
Ours is, well, I just hired a buddy of mine owns his own landscaping company. I just hired him to start mowing because I got tired of going up there every Saturday. So that increased it. But I think I have to make the break even. I think it's $1,550.
Okay. Somewhere. It is high. It is high, and it's just that mortgage, because lawn guys, you know, for the first year I was mowing, second I kind of was able to pay neighborhood people again like $20 an hour. No one charges that now to mow, and so then for a neighborhood house it's like $45 a week. I think I found someone that was $35 recently as I was leaving, but that mortgage. So yeah, that mortgage eats it up. When that you can refinance or whatever at some point, like that going lower will help you tremendously for sure. So like if you had to lower your monthly rate to the 2,000, you'd be okay. You'd still have 500 in the bank in case plumbing issues happen, something goes wrong. It wouldn't be coming out of your pocket. It'd be out of the business account. So I think even that's still fine. If times seem a little slow right now, but if Airbnb isn't dried up, that's good. I mean, keep that posted. I like that Furnish Finder's calendars link with Airbnb. That's huge. So I would just adjust your price on there. Maybe you'll get a long-term booking, and also come back to this guy and be like, hey, do you want it for 2,300 or 2,000? Like, keep him in there if you can. If he's a good person, you know?
Yeah, so far, I mean, he's been quiet. And my next door neighbor over there next to the house is like neighborhood watch. I swear, he's like that dude that, you know, all through the day, he'd be the one that's
I have one like that.
speaking.
Yep, I have a neighbor like that.
And he is a grumpy old man. So if I don't hear from him, I'm counting that as a good thing, probably.
Good. Yeah, good. The neighbors do watch out. I mean, you have to, obviously you're doing your mailer, you have to get their approval. So I had some say, I do not want them to park in front of my house. I do not want them to turn around in my driveway. And so I was like, okay, like, and that was in the guest book. And hey, this is your parking options. But yeah, that's funny. I've seen pictures of your place. It's clean. It's airy. It's simple. I don't think you had a theme or anything going on, right? Like any sort of like decor theme?
No, we've hung a little bit up more. My wife ended up hanging up a couple of pictures, like over the top of the desk, like naturey, like trees, places we've been. We haven't added any like plants or like fake plants. I'm not gonna add.
Yeah. Because you had asked like, how do you move up like to superhost? Are you a superhost yet, or have you been able to?
Not yet. I think
Okay.
I can't remember what the requirement is for like reviews. You have to have so many reviews or something.
So many reviews and so many bookings. I will say, like, I had a superhost from the time I started and maintained it throughout. And sometimes it was like, I got a superhost and I feel like I've only had like 5 people in there, you know, because I had so many long terms at one point that were like last year, it wasn't last year, it was the year before, but it was just like one person was in there for like 4 months out, another person in there for like 4 months out. And some of those were furnish finders. So I'm like, how am I getting these reviews? Because I feel like I've only had a handful of people in there. But one thing I did always hear is your place is so Instagram worthy, or like, we love taking selfies here. Not that you have to do that, but I do believe like yours goes to show that you truly can just like anyone can kind of have an Airbnb. I like to look at the site sometimes. You see like some that look like people got furniture at a Goodwill and just kind of like have a hodgepodge, but people still rent it. And then you have really just clean, basic, like yours might be, people still rent it. And then there's extreme ones that have like rock walls for kids and a slide that goes down from a loft, or they're themed like, hey, there's a Disneyland adventure when you come in here. Like I've seen some of those. Now, obviously, a lot of them are in places like this, but even in Springfield, ones that just have a look, whether that's farmhouse, whatever you and your wife decide, like whether that's modern, mid-century modern or something, I would find a color theme or something and be okay putting a little money into that. Throw a cute wallpaper up on a certain accent wall, something, because I do think that those cute ones get you the reviews. I had a buddy that opened up an Airbnb in Springfield, and he had posted signs in his house saying, hey, if you leave a good review, you'd get entered in a chance to win like $100 gift card or something. And so anyone that month that left a review would get entered. So there's also that option, but I never had to bribe them. It was just like, I've provided a place that I'd want to stay in. And also I liked doing the designy stuff, so that was fun. But I don't know why, or if it made people go online more to give the review, because I know that I'm lazy and like I don't review my Amazon purchases, you know. If I review on Airbnb, yes, I do that because I did that in the business. I'd like to think that most people wouldn't just not review, but they may not. They may not follow through because one more step and they're lazy. But if it's a cute place, like they want to tell about it. And so down the line, this summer, fall, like be talking. Like if she's putting nature stuff, like carry that theme throughout. Too many houses have like, here's a waterfall or tree picture, and then over here there's like flower, and then over here there's like an ocean, and it's a little too clustered. So Airbnbs, there's something to be said, and I thought when I moved here I'd make my house like the Airbnb, like clean and free of clutter, but it's my own home, and I truly do have pictures of friends up, and it just looks more cluttered. But in an Airbnb, you do want clean, but you do want some sort of theme that carries through the whole house. And so whatever that might be for you, that could be something maybe that could get you some more reviews. Obviously, I'm sure you are already doing it, but anytime someone needs something, like you are doing anything you can to help them and get it. So I didn't have a French press coffee thing one time for someone, and I only had the Keurig, and they're like, hey, like, do you have a coffee pot? I don't drink coffee, so I didn't even have a coffee pot for the poor person. But he was like, yeah, like, I do like French press. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to Walmart now. I'll bring that to you. And anything you can, to make their stay enjoyable. Throw your maintenance or your property management person on that. That's an errand they can run. But yeah, I like the theme. So if you and your wife can think about a theme, I think that it just makes your place, like, as you're scrolling through the site, it makes it somewhere that they want to stay too. If you have kids allowed there, I don't know, have something fun for the kids, whether that's a box of toys or a playpen, like, if it is kid friendly, I know out here, my aunt and uncle just got a really nice Airbnb, and they just keep saying, if this place had bikes or paddle boards or something, it would set that apart. But the person chose not to. But imagine if they did, like, that'd set that apart too. So I don't know. Think of a theme.
Yeah, we'll think of a theme. We put up my wife had an idea in sort of a dining room. She has a picture hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
Got a little sign there that says, put a pin where you're from.
I did put out a guest book, just a cute notebook from like Target that people could sign, and you would get notes in there, and then they'd also go through the extra step of writing a note online, which I'm like, heck, if you already wrote this, you don't have to post online. But obviously they did, and it was fun. And I kind of like, put a little thing in the beginning of like, here, name, address, or whatever, name, state. Some people kind of stay with that format, but then some just like even drew pictures on the notebook. But I like the pin idea a lot better. I'm shocked no one did it.
Not a single person's done it yet. I don't know if this guy did or not. I know he's from Florida, so we'll see if he does. But,
yeah. Do you have a binder when they walk in? Hey, here's everything you need to know. Or is that all online?
It's all online. I have the guest book online through the app with places to go, like good coffee shops, restaurants. I don't have any physical there though.
Yeah. And I don't know how much it is needed, but I will say, like, even if I've gone to Colorado, I went with some girls hiking, and then even prior to moving here, I stayed in a place in Sarasota, and they had a guest book. And I think it's something people are still doing, having a hard copy, because also, and I just have mine out, like, I had the guest one, and then I had the cleaning staff binder. And so even the Sarasota one, I took pictures. I was like, open it up, and I was like, ooh, I like that. I like that. And they do have, like yours does online, here's the places to go. Here's the fun places to eat. And a place I stayed in, Kansas City, I really liked his. So I was like, I'm taking a picture. They went down to even like putting a picture of the remote in here and was like, push this, do this. And I just thought, like, for people who are kind of dummies, like, they need this. They don't necessarily want to look at this. That's just another step that you can go through to kind of like help them. I do feel like this is old school, but I am old school. I am paper pencil. So for those people who like that, they open it up, and this one doesn't have a lot of pictures, to be honest. It's got the welcome letter, and then it's got the here's checkout, here's check-in instructions, and keypad, here's how this works, here's the rules, and here's the fun places to eat, and the TV instructions. Super simple. Maybe that's something else you can set up, to when you guys travel next, travel to an Airbnb, and then just like gather ideas from that too to implement.
Yeah, I'm actually staying in an Airbnb in Joplin, doing that cross competition over there. So I'll look and see their stuff.
Yeah, I will say one that I stayed in Kansas City, it was like sweep. He did not ask us to mop, but he asked us to sweep, wash every dish, return every dish to its location. A lot of stuff to where I was like, and I know that this is a big thing with Airbnb. It's like, well, what are you paying cleaning staff for then? A lot of people want to just be able to leave. So I think they're trying to crack down on that. Like, how much a host is able to ask a guest to do,
I think I just have mindset like, linens and sheets.
Good.
Like, throw linens in the washer. You don't have to start it. Just throw them in there.
Yeah.
Ball up.
I did start having them start a load, and I did start having them start the dishwasher, and I don't feel bad because those are the two things that held up the cleaning person, is literally waiting on the washer. And so I was convinced that if Airbnb ever took that out of something that they were allowed to do, I was just like, like, this person is literally waiting on the dishwasher to be done, and everything else in the house is clean,
So the first person that booked, she was there for like 21 days, and she did a really good job of like, she swept, Swiffer jetted, threw linens in, but I found out real quick that I re-cleaned after her, behind her, obviously.
Yeah.
And I was done with that, and like, because it's not that big of a house, 30 minutes or so. And now I'm just sitting on laundry.
Yeah.
And, then my wife did it after the next guest, and after that, both of us were like, "No, we're going to hire somebody. I'm not wasting time." Because for me, it's like I work all day, so if I'm going to at night, my wife works all day, so she's going to go. It's going to be at night. That's way for kid time.
Yeah.
And so it's either night or weekends. Well, if there's a booking for the weekend, it has to be turned over before then.
Yeah.
So I find somebody to hire and clean this place and do all this, because I'm tired.
Well, and I don't know how much long your turnaround was, but there was times I had someone check out by 10 a.m. and someone else come in at 3 p.m., and you do. It's like you don't want to be waiting around for laundry or whatever. And so having spare sheets, all that, I'm sure you have on. But yeah, if you can revamp your guest book or whatever, your welcome instructions and checkout instructions, I say trash. I never want trash sitting in there, because if I cannot make it there, or I couldn't get a cleaning person, and then I had to, shut the booking down for the night because I couldn't get someone there to clean it. I don't want trash stinking up the place. So I was like, empty the trash and start the dishwasher and start the laundry. I didn't ask them to sweep. That's awesome if they do. Sometimes they do go above and beyond. I didn't ask them to remake the bed, though some of them did. But yes, you always want to come behind them because you never know. But yeah, definitely the laundry, I don't feel guilty having them start it if you're able to, because even your cleaning staff are going to be waiting on that. I mean, they may be able to whip in, whip out, and clean, and then just be waiting, So, but let me see. I don't know. Does anything else come to mind? I think you guys are for sure on the right track. You definitely, you live and you learn, and you're like, well, won't do that again type of thing. Yeah, cleaning. I am going to send you Angela's contact only because she has cleaning staff. And if your house only takes an hour, they get $75 for that hour. But if it happens to take longer and 3 hours, they're still coming out good, except $25 an hour. And so with that, it's not the baseboards, it's not, cleaning the fans. It's we're coming to do a house flip, and that's what it is. But if she does use your property continuously, then they get used to your house, and it's like, hey, we haven't done baseboards, all month. It needs to be done at least once a month or a couple months. Hey, fans are needing cleaned. So even though you're getting paid $75, and even though this only took you an hour today, guess what? You have a little time to do an extra project too. And so she's good about if there's other little things to get to, they also do those, rather than hiring a cleaning company, which I think charges $100. And I know that my friend Kendra, who got me started with the Airbnbs, she had some good experiences and some bad with cleaning people, and it just seemed like they were always not doing the thing that you wanted them to do, which I think is going to happen in general when you're dealing with people. It's just going to take a bit to show them. But yeah, I definitely, I love that you guys are doing it yourself sometimes, but eventually, as soon as you can, find someone else to clean. I don't know, find a stay-at-home mom who wants some extra money, find a college girl, and let them train someone else even. There was Turnover Airbnb is a website. Have you ever used that? And that's where you can post, hey, there's a job available to clean, and here's my cleaning instructions. And people can almost grab that job if they want. So just reach out to people at gyms, like post it, hey, anyone want a cleaning job? It has to be a side hustle, like a side gig, because obviously you can't offer consistent hours. If you get a month-long booking, you can't offer them a certain amount of hours per month. So, but it works for some people. It does work for some people. So.
I'm sure I'll
Well, you guys are, I mean, you did it and you're doing the mailers. That's huge. Some people don't even make it through that portion. And so, I have people ask all the time, like, what does it take to, start an Airbnb? And you guys actually did it, and you contacted city zoning, and you went and you have your sign posted in your yard. And, you asked me about the social media and do I post? And I liked posting because it was like a hobby to me, and I liked building motivation in people to be able to start, a little rental property. But it's not needed. I do still have people being like, hey, I have family coming into town. Is your place free? It builds some word of mouth. Like, where's your property located?
Galloway.
Where is it?
Galloway.
Okay. Oh, good. Yeah. So, I mean, if there's people looking for an area and you're posting every once in a while, hey, it's available for the night or whatever, for the month or for the week. I think it's okay every once in a while. You don't have to make reels about it like I did by any means, but just throw it up there. Hey, because that's the whole reason my aunt and uncle are here this week is she follows this one Airbnb lady like religiously, and apparently her place is always booked year round, but she randomly had an opening for a week, and the lady was like, Magnolia House available or whatever, and my aunt grabbed it. And so sometimes that helps. In Springfield, it's not as like, whoa, I'm going to stay. Like, people are not going to be like rushing over there to rent your place. But they may be like, hey, I actually have family coming in town around then, So I think it's cool. Or even if it's not for that week, it just lets them know in the back of their head, oh, like Landon's got a property. Because anytime they know someone looking for a rental, you'll get tagged in, other people's posts on Facebook, and that at least could be some rent, some avenues of rent, but it's a very small percentage. I'd say stick with the VRBO, Airbnb, Furnish Finder for sure. They do all the marketing for you. Like, I didn't have to market because it kind of markets for itself. So, but just continuing to let your little, your community, your social sphere know, hey, we got this other Airbnb available. Then when they have friends and loved ones come to town, well, shoot, they're going to want them to rent from you as opposed to some Joe Schmo. So, but yeah, I'm proud of you guys. So, yeah. And yeah, this is one of many. I truly love that pin board. It makes me a little sad that people aren't using it. Like,
I've wondered too, like, I didn't even notice it until after the first person left and checked out. I went over there. It's a picture of the map, and it's dark, so like the outline of the states are not super visible, so it's hard to tell like where each state is. So I've wondered part of the problem. We need to get a new map that's more defined. Like,
yeah, that could be. Yeah, that definitely could be and then a real clear little like, I don't know, thing, picture frame or whatever by it with words that say, say it. And as far as like, do you have coffee or creamers or stuff that you provide them in the kitchen, or you just have the kitchen?
Got a Ninja, what do you call it? It's an air fryer.
That's good.
Tupperware for people that stay longer term. So it's all furnished and stuff. I haven't left any bags of coffee yet. I have every guest that comes. Well, this guy didn't because I didn't have time to get over there, but I get a $15 gift card to a coffee shop in Galloway, and I leave it there for him.
Oh my word! Yeah, that's huge.
Left a bag of coffee or anything like that yet?
No, and I wouldn't say you have to. I went to Costco. I got the creamers and the sugars and the everything, but it is inventory, and it's like you don't have to. I also was like setting out a whole thing of dishwasher pods, like just use them whenever. But then I had Angela tell me, like, she's like, nope, each guest gets a Ziploc bag. Here's a couple pods. Here's this. Here's a few trash bags, 3 of them. And even the place that I stayed here in Sarasota, they literally left us 2 trash bags for the whole week. Well, just me and my mom, surprisingly, we used more trash than that. And it was frustrating because I'm like, I don't want to have to buy trash bags for a whole week here. I want the house to have everything I need. So that goes into figure out what works for you. You are giving away inventory and stuff. And so maybe they don't need a whole bag of coffee, you know, but I also keep trying to think like, what is it that I love when I travel? And I want to provide that for people. And if I am traveling for a week, I do not want to buy dishwasher soap. That's not something that I need on my grocery list, you know. But again, I've gone into some where they give you nothing and you have to buy it, and it's okay. I still end up enjoying myself, but yeah, I was just curious, kind of what you guys do.
Whole box of trash bags there, dishwasher pot, like that's we leave all that because I'm not. Yeah, I'm the same as you. Like if I go to Portland, we went to Portland, staying in Airbnb. Like I'm not going to the store.
Yeah.
Trash bag, dishwasher. Yeah. So,
but I will say your month guy though is like in getting the perk of that, you know, and that's what happened is I did that for my short guests, but I also did it for my long guests. And so essentially those nurses made it good in the beginning. They got to have all the cleaning supplies. They got to have all, like I essentially paid for their dishwashing soap. I paid for their, you know, their toiletries, their toilet paper. And then finally I did have some people be like, hey, if you have a month-long booking, you do not need to leave them a whole bunch of toilet paper. You leave them 2 rolls, they can buy their own. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the longer guests.
Think about the long ones. Short ones, I'm with you. If you're there for 2 weeks even, like, I don't want to buy laundry detergent, but for real, like, they're smaller containers. I usually bought the big ones. Maybe pour it in a smaller container, but that's something, again, you and your wife don't want to spend time doing. But yeah, if they're there for a month, heck, they have so many clean supplies, but it's like, that's also my product. So it was toward the end, I was like, huh, you're right. And I had a few people point that out who also had Airbnbs, and I was like, okay, I can reel some of that in if it is a long time person.
Definitely probably something I'll change for longer guests because I didn't even think about that. Just kind of give them a start so they don't have to go to the store as soon as they get here.
And you don't have to leave them the whole roll of trash bags. You truly can leave them like, here's 3. You're going to be here the whole month. You know, you can buy some or whatever. I don't know. It's up to you, but definitely I was giving away a whole bunch in the beginning. So, well, I appreciate you, Landon. Yeah, just stay in touch if you have anything else, but you're doing it right. Lower that price on Furnish Finder. I'm hoping that you get someone there because it truly is a good site. Like, so. All right, I'll see ya.